So, what's the real difference between a good manager and a truly great leader? Well, it's not just about what you do, it's about what you say, and maybe even more importantly, how you say it. So, today, let's get into it. We're going to unpack how to master the art of leadership communication. And look, if you're wondering why this matters so much, the data is it's crystal clear. A recent Harvard Business Review study found a staggering 87% of employees. Think about that. Almost 9 out of 10 say communication is the number one skill they want in a leader. So yeah, this isn't some fluffy, nice-to-have skill. It's the absolute foundation. So here's the big idea we're going to be working with. At its very heart, leadership is a conversation. That's it. It's all those everyday interactions, right? The ones that motivate people, bring them together, and actually drive change. It's not about the big, grand speeches. It's about connection, pure and simple. Okay, so how do you actually build that skill? How do you get good at it? Well, it all starts with a really solid foundation. And that foundation, it rests on 3 main pillars. Let's break them down. All right, here they are. You've got to be authentic, you've got to be clear, and you've got to be empathetic. And, you can almost think of them in that order. Authenticity, that's what builds the trust that gets people to even listen to you in the first place. Then, clarity makes sure they actually get what you're saying. And finally, empathy. That's the magic ingredient. That's what creates the connection that makes them care. So let's kick things off with authenticity. Come on, you know this. People can spot a fake from a mile away, right? A great example is Satya Nadella at Microsoft. When he took over, he didn't roll out all the usual corporate speak. Nope. He just spoke from his own personal values, all about learning and growth. And that realness, that authenticity, it completely transformed the company culture. So the lesson here is pretty simple. Don't copy someone else. Find your voice, the one that's based on what you actually believe in. Okay, pillar number 2, clarity. This one's huge. The best leaders, they have this amazing ability to simplify things, but without dumbing them down. I mean, think about Steve Jobs introducing the very first iPhone. He could have buried everyone in technical specs, right? But he didn't. Instead, he just said, an iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. Boom. He took this totally revolutionary product and boiled it down to 3 things everybody already got. That is clarity in action. And that brings us to our 3rd pillar, empathy. This is all about shifting the focus. It's making the conversation about them, not about you. And you know who's an absolute master of this? Oprah Winfrey. She uses active listening in a way that just makes people feel completely seen and valued. It can be a really simple language shift. Just saying something like, "It sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed. Can you tell me more?" See? That one question shows you're not just waiting for your turn to talk. You're actually trying to understand. Okay, now this is where it gets really fascinating. Let's look at the signs of communication for a second. There's this famous research that breaks down how we actually receive a message, and the results are kind of shocking. The actual words you use, they only account for, get this, 7% of the impact. Just 7. Your tone of voice, that's 38%. And your body language, a whopping 55%. So what does that tell you? It means how you deliver your message is way, way more important than the specific words you choose. All right, so we've got our foundation, right? Authenticity, clarity, empathy, check. So the next question is, how do leaders actually use that foundation to get people to act, to inspire them? Well, it's all about taking a vision and turning it into a reality that people are genuinely excited to be a part of. And where does that start? It starts with having a compelling vision. And listen, this is not just some boring business goal like let's increase sales by 10%. No, a real vision, it's a story. It's a super clear, vivid picture of the future that really lights a fire in people and gives their work a deeper meaning, a real purpose. I mean, what's the ultimate example of this? It has to be Martin Luther King Jr. Think about it. He didn't stand up there and say, I have a strategic plan. He said, I have a dream. He painted this incredibly powerful, emotional, and inclusive picture of a better world, a world that millions of people could actually see themselves in. That's the kind of power a real vision has. it motivates, and it brings people together. So, how can you do that? How can you build a vision like that? It actually follows a pretty simple 3-step formula. First, you've got to create a sense of urgency, the why does this matter right now part. Then you paint that vivid picture we were talking about, using stories and language that people can almost see and feel. And finally, you have to give them a clear call to action. Tell them exactly what the next step is. But let's be real. Leadership isn't always about big, inspiring speeches. A huge part of it is navigating those tough conversations, right? And when you do, the goal is always the same, to turn what could be a conflict into something collaborative and productive. And the absolute key to doing this is all in the framing. Just look at this example. Saying, "You're always micromanaging me." What does that do? It's an accusation. It puts the other person on the defensive immediately. But what if you reframe it? It sounds like you're looking for more autonomy. Let's talk about that. See the difference? That's not an attack, it's an observation that opens the door to a conversation. It turns a potential fight into a real problem-solving session. So here's a simple little framework you can use to guide you through these talks. 1. Prepare with a purpose. Know exactly what you want to achieve before you even walk in the room. 2. Stay calm under pressure. Seriously, just take a breath before you respond. It makes a world of difference. And 3. Focus on solutions. Don't get bogged down in the blame game. Keep steering the conversation towards, okay, so how do we fix this? Okay, so we've covered the foundation. We've talked about the applications, like inspiring action and handling tough talks. So what's the final piece? It's about making all of this a consistent part of who you are as a leader. This is how you really build a leadership voice that sticks, one that creates a lasting legacy. And it all comes back to this one single question. Your leadership voice, it has to be anchored in your core values. I mean, your brand as a leader is just the reputation you build, one conversation at a time. So it has to be rooted in something real. You have to ask yourself, what do I want to be known for? And keeping that voice strong, that takes discipline. You've got to create this loop of constantly getting better. So go out and actively ask for feedback. You need to know your blind spots. Build small, consistent daily habits. I'm talking tiny things like taking just 5 minutes to prep for an important meeting. And finally, you gotta be resilient. When you have a setback, and you will, don't see it as a failure. Reframe it. It's a chance to learn. So in the end, it really all boils down to this. Leadership is a journey, right? And it's built one single conversation at a time. It's not about being perfect. Nobody is. It's about being authentic. It's about being clear, and it's about being empathetic. Your voice, that is your single most powerful tool. It's your legacy. So the only real question left is, how are you going to use it?